The galaxy was vast, full of stars, planets, and mysteries. For centuries, humans had been part of it, exploring new worlds, building colonies, and making friends and enemies along the way. But one day, everything changed. Without warning, humanity decided to step away from it all. It started with a speech. Daniel Carter, a calm but determined man who led Earth's government, stood before cameras in a large hall filled with people. His voice echoed as he spoke words no one expected to hear. "We have fought too long," he said. "For generations, we've spilled blood across the stars. We've taken more than we've given. It ends now." He paused, looking at the crowd. "From this day forward, Earth will no longer interfere in galactic affairs. No more wars. No more conquests. We walk away." The announcement shocked everyone. Humans weren't just leaving battles. They were closing doors. Colonies outside Earth were abandoned. Ships returning home filled the skies like flocks of birds migrating for winter. Communication channels with alien civilizations went silent. Humanity vanished from the galactic stage, leaving behind only questions. Among those watching closely was Mia Roberts, a young diplomat working for the United Coalition of Planets. She sat in her office on a distant space station, staring at the screen showing Daniel Carter's speech. Her mind raced. Why would humans do this? They had always been involved, sometimes causing trouble, sometimes helping. Now they were gone. What did it mean? The Zorathians saw it differently. Cal Vorn, their fierce warlord, watched the same speech while sitting on his throne made of black metal. A cruel smile spread across his face. "Weak," he muttered to himself. To him, humanity's retreat wasn't noble. It was cowardly. And opportunity knocked loudly. With humans out of the picture, nothing stood in his way. The Zorathians began moving faster, claiming unguarded territories and testing weaker neighbors. On Earth, life seemed quieter. People focused on rebuilding cities scared by war. Factories once used to build weapons now produced tools for farming and construction. Streets buzzed with conversations about hope and renewal. Yet not everyone agreed with Daniel Carter's decision. Jacob Hale, a retired soldier turned historian, felt uneasy. He spent hours reading old records, trying to understand why humanity chose isolation. One night, as rain tapped against his window, he whispered to himself, "Walking away doesn't fix things. It just delays them." Farther out in space, tensions simmered. Smaller species, like the peaceful Irindi, worried about what might happen without human protection. Their leader, an elder named Lyra, called an emergency meeting. "If the Zorathians grow stronger," she warned, "none of us will be safe." Her words hung heavy in the air, unanswered. Back on Earth, Daniel Carter ignored critics like Jacob Hale. He believed humanity needed time to heal. But deep down, even he wondered if they'd made the right choice. In the quiet moments, when he looked up at the stars, he couldn't shake the feeling that something big was coming, a storm brewing in the silence left behind. As days turned into weeks, then months, the galaxy adjusted to life without humans. Some saw promise in the absence of conflict. Others saw danger lurking in the shadows. Little did anyone know, humanity's decision to walk away would set off a chain reaction that could change the fate of the galaxy forever. Months turned into years, and the galaxy adjusted to life without humanity. At first, it felt strange, like a room missing its loudest voice. But soon, other species stepped forward to fill the void. Some tried to keep peace, while others saw opportunity in the chaos. Mia Roberts worked tirelessly as a diplomat for the United Coalition of Planets. Her job was to bring different alien races together, to talk instead of fight. But it wasn't easy. Without humans, old rivalries flared up again. The Zorathians, led by Cal Vorn, grew bolder with each passing day. They pushed into unclaimed territories, claiming planets and resources as their own. Smaller civilizations scrambled to protect themselves, but they lacked the strength to stand against the Zorathians alone. One evening, Mia sat in her small office aboard a space station orbiting a distant moon. Papers covered her desk, maps marked with red lines showing where the Zorathians had expanded. She sighed and leaned back in her chair, rubbing her temples. "This isn't working," she muttered to herself. Despite countless meetings and negotiations, no one could stop Cal Vorn. He didn't care about treaties or promises. He only cared about power. Meanwhile, on Earth, life continued quietly under Daniel Carter's leadership. People focused on rebuilding their planet. Factories churned out goods, farms flourished, and children played in parks once destroyed by war. On the surface, everything seemed fine. But beneath the calm, cracks were starting to show. Jacob Hale, the retired soldier turned historian, couldn't shake his doubts. He spent hours digging through old records, searching for answers. One night, he found something troubling. A classified report written before humanity's withdrawal. It detailed rising tensions among alien species and warned that stepping away might make things worse, not better. Jacob clenched his fists. Daniel Carter had known about this. Why hadn't he shared it with the public? Determined to find out more, Jacob reached out to Emily Dawson, a journalist known for her sharp questions and bold stories. Together, they began investigating. They talked to former military officers, scientists, and even ordinary citizens who remembered the days when humanity was still part of the galactic community. Slowly, a picture emerged. Earth's leaders hadn't walked away because they wanted peace. They'd done it because they thought humanity was too tired to keep fighting. Emily wrote an article exposing what they'd learned. When it was published, it caused an uproar. People gathered in streets, shouting for answers. Some supported Daniel Carter, believing he'd made the right choice. Others sided with Jacob and Emily, demanding change. For the first time in years, Earth's quiet unity cracked. Farther out in space, the situation worsened. The Zorathians attacked a small colony belonging to the Terriks, a peaceful species known for their art and music. The attack was brutal, leaving nothing but ashes behind. News of the massacre spread quickly, sparking outrage across the galaxy. Many blamed Earth for abandoning its allies. Maya Roberts struggled to respond, torn between anger at humanity's absence and fear of what might come next. On Earth, Daniel Carter watched reports of the Terriks' tragedy from his office. His face was pale, his hands trembling slightly. He knew the galaxy blamed him, but what could he do? Going back now would undo everything he'd worked for. Still, guilt gnawed at him. Had he made a mistake? As weeks passed, tensions rose higher. The Zorathians continued their expansion, unchecked by any real opposition. Smaller species pleaded for help, but no one came. Humanity remained silent, locked away on their blue-green world. And yet, whispers of rebellion stirred both on Earth and beyond. People began to realize that walking away hadn't ended conflict, it had simply shifted it elsewhere. In the quiet moments, when the stars shone brightly in the night sky, many wondered if humanity's decision would haunt them all. Little did they know, the worst was yet to come. The galaxy was on edge, and the fragile peace that had barely held together began to crumble. Cal Vorn, the Zorathian warlord, saw his chance. With humanity gone, and no one strong enough to stop him, he made a bold move. His target was the Irindi, a peaceful species known for their wisdom and love of nature. The Irindi had never sought conflict. They believed in harmony and coexistence. But to Cal Vorn, their kindness was a weakness. One morning, alarms blared across the Irindi homeworld. Ships filled the sky. Dark, menacing vessels bearing the mark of the Zorathians. The attack came swiftly and without warning. Bombs rained down, destroying cities and forests alike. Fires spread across the planet, consuming everything in their path. The Irindi tried to fight back, but their weapons were outdated, their defenses weak. By the time the smoke cleared, most of their population was gone. News of the massacre reached every corner of the galaxy. It was a shockwave that left everyone reeling. Maya Roberts heard about it while attending a meeting on a neutral space station. Her heart sank as she watched footage of the destruction. Homes reduced to rubble, rivers running black with ash. It was a nightmare come to life. She clenched her fists, anger boiling inside her. How could this happen? If humanity had stayed, would the Arundi still be alive? Determined to understand what went wrong, Mia traveled to the ruins of the Arundi world. What she found there horrified her even more. Among the wreckage, she discovered fragments of technology, advanced weapon systems powered by human engineering. Someone had given the Zorathians access to stolen human tech. It explained how they'd launched such a devastating attack so quickly. Mia's mind raced. Who had done this, and why? Back on Earth, Jacob Hale and Emily Dawson continued their investigation into Daniel Carter's decision to withdraw from the galaxy. Their findings painted a grim picture. Not only had Earth's leaders known about rising tensions before leaving, but some had also secretly sold weapons and technology to alien factions, including the Zorathians. Jacob felt sick thinking about it. Humanity hadn't just walked away. They'd indirectly fueled the chaos now tearing the galaxy apart. Public outrage grew louder. Protests erupted in cities across Earth, demanding answers and action. People carried signs reading, "We can't stay silent," and "Justice for the Arundi." Even those who once supported Daniel Carter began to question his leadership. The pressure mounted until he finally agreed to address the nation. Standing before cameras, Daniel Carter looked older, his face lined with worry. "I admit," he said slowly, "that mistakes were made. I thought stepping away would bring peace. Instead, it has caused suffering." He paused, searching for words. "But we cannot undo the past. All we can do is decide what comes next." Jacob Hale stepped forward after the speech, addressing the crowd. "Deciding what comes next means acting," he said firmly. "We can't sit here while others die because of our choices. We owe it to the Arundi and to ourselves to help." His words struck a chord. Across Earth, people began organizing. Some volunteered to rebuild the military, while others prepared supplies and ships. Among them was Sarah Bennett, a skilled pilot eager to make a difference, and Ryan Mitchell, a strategist determined to outsmart the Zorathians. Together, they formed a coalition ready to re-enter the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as defenders. As Earth prepared for war, Mia Roberts returned to her work with renewed purpose. She knew humanity's return wouldn't fix everything overnight. But it was a start. In the quiet moments, staring at the stars, she wondered if the galaxy would ever truly find peace, or if war was simply inevitable. The Zorathians were growing stronger every day. Kel Vorn's forces moved like a storm across the galaxy, claiming planets and resources without resistance. Smaller species scrambled to protect themselves, but they lacked the strength to stand against the Zorathians. The galaxy was tipping toward chaos, and humanity's absence only made things worse. On Earth, Jacob Hale couldn't sit still. He paced his small office, staring at maps of the galaxy spread across his desk. Each red mark showed another world taken by the Zorathians. "We can't keep ignoring this," he muttered to himself. His mind raced with questions. How many more worlds would fall? How many innocent lives would be lost? Emily Dawson, the journalist who had exposed Earth's secret dealings with alien factions, sat across from him. She leaned forward, her expression serious. "People are starting to listen," she said. "They're angry. They'd want answers and action." Jacob nodded. "But anger isn't enough. We need a plan." He tapped the map with his finger. "If we don't step in soon, the Zorathians will control everything." "And then what?" Emily hesitated before speaking. "Do you really think we can make a difference? We've been out of the fight for years. The galaxy doesn't trust us anymore." "We have to try," Jacob replied firmly. "If we don't, who will?" The two of them began reaching out to others. Former soldiers, engineers, pilots, anyone willing to help. At first, their efforts were met with skepticism. Many people believed Earth should stay out of galactic affairs. But as news of the Zorathians' brutality spread, support grew. Stories of massacres, stolen resources, and destroyed homes reached Earth, sparking outrage. People realized that staying silent wasn't an option. Among those who joined the cause was Sarah Bennett, a skilled pilot with a sharp mind and steady hands. She had spent years flying cargo ships but missed the thrill of something greater. When Jacob and Emily approached her, she didn't hesitate. "I'm in," she said simply. "Tell me what to do." Another key figure was Ryan Mitchell, a strategist known for his ability to think several steps ahead. He had served in Earth's military before the withdrawal and still carried the weight of unfinished battles. When Jacob asked for his help, Ryan agreed without hesitation. "If we're going back out there," he said, "we'll need a plan that works." As the movement gained momentum, Daniel Carter faced mounting pressure. Protests erupted in cities across Earth, demanding action. Critics accused him of abandoning the galaxy and leaving it vulnerable to tyranny. Even some members of his own council urged him to reconsider. But Daniel remained firm, at least outwardly. Privately, he wrestled with doubt. Had he made the wrong choice? In secret facilities hidden beneath mountains and deserts, humanity began preparing for war. Ships were built, weapons were forged, and volunteers trained tirelessly. The fleet wasn't large, but it was determined. Pilots practiced dogfights in simulators, while engineers worked around the clock to ensure every ship was ready for battle. Jacob addressed the volunteers one evening, standing before a crowd of men and women eager to fight. "This isn't about revenge," he said, his voice steady. "It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. It's about showing the galaxy that humanity hasn't given up." His words ignited a fire in everyone present. They weren't just fighting for Earth. They were fighting for the future of the galaxy. As the fleet prepared to launch, Jacob looked up at the stars. He knew the road ahead would be dangerous, but he also knew one thing for certain. Walking away hadn't solved anything. Now, it was time to face the storm head-on. The galaxy held its breath as humanity prepared to return. Ships were built in secret, their designs sleek and deadly. Factories once used for farming tools now churned out weapons and armor. Pilots trained tirelessly, simulating battles against the Zorathians. Earth wasn't just stepping back into the galactic stage, it was charging forward with purpose. Jacob Hale stood at the center of it all. Once a retired soldier turned historian, he now led humanity's coalition. His voice carried authority when he spoke to the volunteers gathered in a massive hangar. "We didn't choose this fight," he said, his tone firm but steady. "But we will finish it. The Irindi trusted us to act when no one else would. We owe them that much, and more." Among the volunteers was Sarah Bennett, a pilot whose sharp instincts had earned her a spot on the front lines. She spent hours in the cockpit of her ship, running drills and memorizing every detail of the mission plan. Beside her was Ryan Mitchell, a strategist who rarely slept. His mind worked like a machine, plotting routes, predicting enemy movements, and finding ways to turn the Zorathians' strength against them. The plan was simple but risky. Humanity would launch a surprise attack on key Zorathian outposts, cutting off their supply lines and forcing Calvorn to divide his forces. Then, they would strike directly at the heart of the Zorathian Empire. It wasn't guaranteed to work, but it was their best shot. As the fleet assembled near the edge of Zorathian territory, tension filled the air. Soldiers checked their gear one last time. Engineers ran final diagnostics on the ships. Even those who had never seen combat before felt the weight of what was about to happen. They weren't just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for everyone who had suffered under Calvorn's rule. The first battle came quickly. A Zorathian patrol stumbled upon the human fleet as it approached an outpost. Alarms blared, and within moments, the sky lit up with laser fire. Sarah soared through the chaos, her ship darting between enemy vessels. She fired with precision, taking down 2 Zorathian fighters before they could react. Around her, other pilots fought fiercely, their determination matching the ferocity of the enemy. On the command ship, Jacob watched the battle unfold on a large screen. His hands gripped the railing tightly, knuckles white. "Hold the line," he shouted over the comms. "Don't let them regroup." Ryan's strategies proved invaluable. He directed smaller squadrons to flank the Zorathians, catching them off guard. One by one, the enemy ships fell, until the outpost was finally secured. Cheers erupted across the fleet, but there was no time to celebrate. The next target awaited. Each victory brought humanity closer to the Zorathian homeworld. But with every step, the resistance grew stronger. Cal Vorn wasn't going to surrender easily. His ships were larger, his weapons more powerful. Yet, something unexpected began to happen. Other species, inspired by humanity's bravery, joined the fight. Ships from the Terrix, the Aeronautics, and even rogue factions arrived to lend their support. Mia Roberts coordinated with these new allies, ensuring everyone worked together. Her diplomatic skills kept the coalition united, even when the battles grew fierce. "This isn't just our war anymore," she told Jacob during a brief respite. "It's theirs too." Finally, the moment arrived. The fleet reached the ruins of the Arindi homeworld, where Cal Vorn had set up his main stronghold. The sight of the destroyed planet fueled the resolve of every human and ally present. This was where it would end. Jacob addressed the fleet one last time. "Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every species that suffered under tyranny. Today, we show the galaxy what happens when hope fights back." With those words, the final assault began. Lasers streaked across space, explosions rocked the silence, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The battle near the ruins of the Arindi homeworld was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships clashed in a fiery dance, their weapons lighting up the darkness of space. Explosions echoed like thunder, and debris floated silently in the aftermath of each strike. Humanity's fleet, joined by allies from across the galaxy, fought with everything they had. This wasn't just a war, it was a reckoning. Sarah Bennett's ship darted through the chaos, her hands steady on the controls. She weaved between enemy fighters, firing bursts of energy that sent Zorathian ships spiraling out of control. Her heart pounded, but she didn't hesitate. Every shot mattered. Every move could mean life or death, for her and for everyone counting on her. Ryan Mitchell's voice crackled over the comms. "Focus on the flagship," he ordered. "If we take out Cal Vorn, the rest will fall apart." His plan was risky, but it was their only chance. The Zorathian warlord's massive command ship loomed ahead, bristling with weapons and protected by layers of smaller vessels. Breaking through wouldn't be easy. Jacob Hale led the charge, his own ship at the front of the assault. He knew the risks. He might not survive, but he pushed forward anyway. "For the Arindi," he shouted into the comms, his voice fierce and unyielding. The words ignited something in the fleet. Pilots doubled their efforts, pushing harder than ever before. Cal Vorn watched the battle unfold from the bridge of his flagship. His cold eyes narrowed as he saw the human fleet breaking through his defenses. "They're persistent," he growled to his officers. "But persistence won't save them." He barked orders, sending reinforcements to hold the line. Yet, no matter how many ships he threw at them, the humans kept coming. Mia Roberts coordinated the Allied forces, ensuring everyone stayed united. She relayed messages between species, keeping morale high even as the fight grew desperate. "Hold together," she urged. "We're almost there." Finally, the human fleet broke through the last layer of defense. Sarah's squadron surged forward, targeting the flagship's engines. One by one, the massive thrusters sputtered and died, leaving the ship vulnerable. Jacob's vessel led the final push, aiming straight for the command center. Inside, Cal Vorn refused to retreat. He grabbed a weapon and stood ready, determined to go down fighting. When the humans breached the bridge, all hell broke loose. Lasers fired, smoke filled the air, and bodies fell. Jacob found himself face to face with the warlord. For a moment, they locked eyes. Two leaders, two sides of a devastating conflict. "You should have stayed away," Cale snarled. raising his weapon. "We couldn't," Jacob replied, his voice calm but firm. "Not while you destroyed innocent lives." The two men fought fiercely, exchanging blows until Jacob finally disarmed Kale. With a swift motion, he knocked the warlord to the ground. Kale glared up at him, hatred burning in his eyes. But it was over. The Zorathian leader was defeated. Outside, the remaining Zorathian ships began to retreat. Without Calvorn's command, their forces crumbled. Cheers erupted across the fleet as the victory sank in. Humanity, and its allies, had won. As the dust settled, Maya looked out at the wreckage surrounding the Arundi homeworld. Tears welled in her eyes, not just from relief but from sorrow. So much had been lost, so many lives sacrificed. Yet, amidst the destruction, there was hope. The galaxy had come together to fight for something greater than themselves. Jacob stood beside her, gazing at the stars. "This isn't the end," he said quietly. "It's just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy what can happen when we stand together. Now, we rebuild." And for the first time in years, the future felt possible. The galaxy began to heal, slowly and painfully. The defeat of Calvorn marked the end of the Zorathian Empire, but the scars of war ran deep. Planets once thriving with life now lay in ruins, their skies darkened by ash and debris. Survivors picked up the pieces, rebuilding what they could. It was hard work, but it brought people together. For the first time in years, there was a sense of unity, a shared purpose. Daniel Carter stepped down from his position as Earth's leader. He didn't fight it. He knew he had made mistakes. In a quiet ceremony, he handed over power to Jacob Hale, the man who had led humanity back into the stars. "I wanted peace," Daniel said during his final speech. "But I learned that peace isn't achieved by walking away. It's earned by standing firm when it matters most." Jacob accepted the role with humility. He knew leadership wasn't about glory, it was about responsibility. His first act was to reach out to other species, offering aid and resources to those hardest hit by the war. Earth's factories worked around the clock, producing supplies instead of weapons. Ships carried food, medicine, and materials to devastated worlds. Humanity wasn't just rebuilding itself, it was helping others do the same. Mia Roberts played a key role in shaping the new galactic order. She drafted a treaty called the Accord of Unity, designed to prevent future conflicts. Representatives from dozens of species gathered on Earth to sign it, marking the historic moment. For the first time, the galaxy had a framework for cooperation, a promise to protect one another rather than exploit weaknesses. As Mia stood on the stage, watching leaders shake hands and exchange smiles, she felt a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this could work. Sarah Bennett returned to Earth after months of fighting. She stepped out of her ship into the warm sunlight, feeling the grass beneath her boots for the first time in ages. Her family greeted her with hugs and tears, grateful to have her home safe. But Sarah knew her journey wasn't over. She joined a program training new pilots, passing on her skills and experiences. "War taught me how to fight," she told her students, "but it also taught me why we should avoid it whenever possible." Ryan Mitchell stayed busy too. He worked alongside scientists and engineers to develop technology that would benefit everyone, not just soldiers. Cleaner energy sources, faster communication systems, and tools to terraform barren planets became his focus. "We've spent so long building weapons," he said. "Now let's build something better." On the ruins of the Arundi homeworld, a memorial was built to honor those who had been lost. Lyra, the elder who had once pleaded for help, attended the dedication ceremony. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "Your return gave us justice," she said to Jacob and Mia. "But your kindness gives us hope." The crowd fell silent, reflecting on the cost of war and the value of peace. As weeks turned into months, the galaxy began to change. Trade routes reopened, connecting distant worlds. Cultures exchanged ideas, art, and traditions. Children grew up hearing stories not of battles, but of bravery and unity. Humanity's decision to rejoin the galactic community sparked a ripple effect, inspiring others to work toward a brighter future. Jacob often found himself looking at the stars at night, thinking about everything that had happened. He remembered the sacrifices, the lives lost, and the choices that had shaped their path. Walking away hadn't solved anything. It had only delayed the inevitable. But returning had shown the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of, not just destruction, but creation. In the quiet moments, Jacob smiled. They still had a long way to go, but the galaxy was learning. And sometimes, that was enough.